The environment was actually my original reason for getting involved in politics. By parliamentary standards, I'm pretty young. I think the average age up there is about 65. But believe it or not, when I was 9 years old, I wrote a letter to the Prime Minister about acid rain because I did a project in my school about acid rain, and I became concerned as a young citizen, and I got a response back, and I was so impressed I got a response it caused me to start to follow politics. And years later, I think we were doing some great things for the environment in Barrie and in Canada. I want to start off with Lake Simcoe. That's something that is a tremendous accomplishment for our community, and it's something that I don't think anyone expected. This government has invested $30 million into cleaning up Lake Simcoe. And if you ask any family in Barrie, Lake Simcoe has been at the heart of our community. But we've never seen a cent from a federal government before. Hasn't been a priority. And yet we've got a Conservative government that is delivering in spades for Lake Simcoe, for the health of our environment in Barrie. You know, I think of my own family. My mother was a recreation lifeguard when she was a teenager at Johnson Beach, and my parents live on the water in Barrie. I know there's so many families that have stories about growing up in their childhood on Lake Simcoe and how they treasure them, and especially in the summer. I think there's no better place to be than at Kempenfelt Bay. It is so gorgeous, and it's so important that we protect Lake Simcoe and Kempenfelt Bay for future generations, because the privilege we've had of having such a gorgeous lake at our doorstep is something that can disappear. And I'll tell you why it can disappear, is because there's too much pollution. Right now, phosphorus levels are 3 times what they're supposed to be in Lake Simcoe. High phosphorus levels mean that there's going to be excessive weed growth. It means that marine habitat's going to die. And this $30 million fund that the Conservative Party has advocated in government and put into effect with an announcement by John Baird at the South Shore Centre in Barrie is going to mean that we're going to turn the clock back on that pollution damage. We're going to turn the clock back on the hampering of the lake by investing in projects to stop and curb the phosphorus dumping into Lake Simcoe, to clean up all the outlets where there's problems on Lake Simcoe's. And this is something that I think every Barrie resident should be proud of, and it is an accomplishment of the Conservative government in Ottawa that I am very much proud of. It is one of many, I believe, on the environment. You know, if you look at other things in Barrie, the recycling center that we did with the city of Barrie is a Conservative accomplishment for getting things done on the environment. And it was the Conservative government this year and last year that invested an historic amount in the environment. $4.5 billion last year in environmental projects. $4.5 billion in this year's budget towards environmental projects. And this is a wide variety of things, whether it's the eco retrofit that you can get if you are willing to invest in environmental upgrades to your house. Your Canadian government's willing to subsidize that. Or whether it's the hydrogen highway we're building in British Columbia, or whether it's the carbon capture projects we're working on in Alberta and Saskatchewan to minimize the damage caused to the environment by the oil industry in Western Canada. It is the Conservative government that is actually not just talking the talk in the environment, but walking the walk and actually producing tangible results. Because for far too long in Ottawa, governments would all cloak themselves in a green blanket and say, we're for the environment, but they would do nothing. And that's changed. You know, Prime Minister Harper will not tolerate people making promises that they cannot keep. And under the previous government, we promised that we would meet the requirements of the Kyoto Protocol and failed miserably. It was an embarrassment for Canada internationally, and the previous government should be scolded for embarrassing Canada's good name internationally in the environment. That's not going to happen on the watch of this government. We're going to make sure we do everything possible to make sure that Canada's environment is pristine, and that we invest heavily to make sure that we are progressive on the forefront of environmental success in both technology and in the manner in which we govern ourselves as individuals, as corporations, and as a government. We're going to be a clean shop in Canada under the leadership of Prime Minister Harper.